Hi, it's Ms. Mackenzie, your K-12 District Teacher Librarian, and this week's Makerspace activity is celebrating Black History Month. We're going to first do a read aloud called Counting on Katherine, how Katherine Johnson saved Apollo 13. And then I'll share the supplies that you're getting this week and kind of wrap my brain around how I would make a little mini Apollo 13 shuttle capsule. Okay, so give me 1 second to flip my camera around. Okay, so here's Counting on Katherine, and our author's at the bottom. Ooh, look at the pretty graphics inside. Counting on Katherine. Katherine loved to count. She counted the steps to the road, the steps up to church, the number of dishes and spoons she washed in the bright sink. The only thing she didn't count were the stars in the sky. Only a fool, she thought, would try that. Even so, the stars sparked her imagination. What was out there? Katherine yearned to know as much as she could about numbers, about the universe, about everything. Katherine's boundless curiosity turned her into a star student. She was so bright, she skipped 3 whole grades. She catapulted right past her brother. He wasn't too happy about that. By the time she turned 10, Katherine was ready for high school. But back then, America was legally segregated by race. Her town's high school didn't admit Black students of any age. Katherine burned with fury. She wanted more than anything to keep learning. There was still so much to know. Count on me, Katherine's father told her. By working night and day, he earned enough money to move the family to a town with a Black high school. Katherine loved high school. She was good at every subject, but math was still her favorite. She dreamed of becoming a research mathematician, making discoveries about the number patterns that are the foundations of our universe. In those days, though, there were no jobs as research mathematicians for women. Professions most available to them were teaching and nursing. So Katherine became an elementary school teacher. She liked her job and she loved her students, but she never stopped dreaming about exploring numbers. In the 1950s, the U.S. government's National Advisory Committee on Aeronautics, NACA, hired thousands of new employees. It even started hiring Black women as mathematicians. Katherine heard about the mathematician jobs. Her heart raced with excitement. Perhaps her dream could come true after all. But when she applied for one of the positions, she was told they were already filled. Katherine had to wait a whole year until new spots opened up. Her patience paid off. She got the job. A few years later, the Soviet Union sent a rocket ship into space, launching a space race with the United States. NACA, or NACA, was rolled into a new space agency, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA. Katherine now found herself at the heart of America's space program. She worked as a quote-unquote computer. Electronic computers were not widely used yet. She calculated long series of numbers. All the computers were women. They were given the task that men thought were too boring and unimportant. That didn't bother Katherine. She knew that without her contributions, a spaceship couldn't reach its destination nor safely return back to Earth. Here's why. Sending a rocket ship into space is like throwing a ball into the air. At first, the force of the throw sends the ball up, up, up. But as it runs out of energy, the ball's path curves backward toward the ground. Where it lands depends on what angle it was thrown and how high and how fast it went. Because math is a kind of language, Katherine could ask those questions. How high would the rocket ship go? And how fast would it travel? Using numbers. And numbers would provide the all-important answer. Where would it land? To find out, Katherine plotted the numbers she'd calculated on a graph. When she joined the points together, they formed a curved line. At one end of that line was Earth at the time the rocket ship launched. At the other end was where Earth would be when the ship landed. Katherine's reputation for accuracy and strong leadership skills, she was known for asking plenty of questions, got her promoted to Project Mercury, a new program designed to send the first American astronauts into space. Mercury's missions were going to be dangerous, so dangerous that even the project's star astronaut, John Glenn, refused to fly unless Katherine okayed the numbers. You can count on me, she said. Glenn's spacecraft, Friendship 7, orbited Earth 3 times and returned home safely. Glenn became a national hero. Katherine was promoted again. Now she was asked to calculate the flight paths for Project Apollo, the first flights to the moon. Count on me, she said. On July 20th, 1969, the Apollo 11 astronauts walked on the moon. Their feat was celebrated around the world. More triumphs followed. Apollo 12 rocketed to the moon in November 1969. Apollo 13 launched on April 11th, 1970. But on the third day of Apollo 13's flight, the worst thing happened: an explosion in space. Could the crippled spaceship make it back to the moon? And if it didn't, would it be able to get back home to Earth? The 3 astronauts on board were in grave peril. Commander Jim Lovell told Mission Control, "Houston, we've got a problem." Back on Earth, Katherine Johnson got a phone call. Her flight path calculations would have to be done all over again, and perfectly. It would be the toughest challenge of her life. Katherine told Mission Control, "You can count on me." She rolled up her sleeves, took a deep breath, and began doing the math. She worked hard and fast. A few hours later, Katherine's calculations were finished. The flight path to return home would take the ship around the far side of the moon. From there, the moon's gravity would act like a slingshot to zip the spaceship back to Earth. To get home, the crew of Apollo 13 would have to follow Katherine's course exactly by burning off fuel at precise intervals. If the astronauts made a mistake, their ship would drift through space forever. Katherine waited anxiously to hear the astronauts' report. Finally, it crackled over the loudspeakers. "We've got it!" Apollo 13 was back on track. Katherine Johnson had done it. She brought Apollo 13 home. She was no longer the kid who dreamed of what lay beyond the stars. She was now a star herself. And that's the end of the story. There are all these fabulous facts at the end of the book. So now I'm going to just show you what everyone's getting in their Makerspace kit this week. Students may want scissors. You may want some tape in your classroom. You might want to use a glue stick. But I am actually going to, give me one second. Okay, I hopped back to my slides real quick and I wanted to open up the website link where I found this activity just to show you they're the basic supplies everyone got. This is essentially what everyone's making. You're mimicking or making that little Apollo 13 shuttle. Usually from the story, you can see it's kind of like cone shaped. And then everyone is going to get some tin foil, some string, and a coffee filter. And you'll want to work in teams. So each class will get about 5 packs. So that may be teams of 3 to 4. And I think your challenge will be this. Like first you're going to, make your space shuttle. And then you're going to do time trials. And you'll probably want to have stand on a chair safely. So your teacher will figure that out in class. And then you'll take turns dropping and timing how fast from the minute you drop your Apollo 13 shuttle and see how long it takes for that shuttle to float down to the ground. And honestly, I think that your challenge should be to see whose shuttle takes the longest amount of time to touch the ground. So that means that your shuttle will be you're looking for the shuttle that's going to have the most gentle fall back to Earth. Okay, because you wouldn't want your shuttle like crashing down and hitting Earth with a dramatic impact because, your people living on side of your shuttle would not survive. So let me flip my camera one more time. Okay, so like I said, you always have scissors, glue, tape, all that stuff inside of your classroom. And then this is essentially what everyone's getting. Okay, so you're getting a piece of tin foil. to make your little shuttle out of. And I'm just making a ball right now. I'm trying to make a cone-shaped little shuttle. You have a good old coffee filter that's going to kind of act as your parachute. And then you have a piece of string. And you could, I mean, I guess I would just cut the string in half. I would maybe use a staple, or am I going to use a tape? So really, if you want the slowest, longest time, you probably want the lightest shuttle, right? So then you start thinking about if you're going to add any other supplies to what you already have in front of you, you probably want to keep it light. So would stapling my string to my filter be heavier than taping it? I mean, I don't know. I think taping it would be easier, but would stapling it make my parachute lighter? I'm not sure. I'm going to go ahead and just plop some tape down. I'm going to tape this other string over here. Okay. And then there's my parachute, and it's got to be attached to my tin foil. I'm almost wondering, so I don't have to add any more weights, could I just tuck it inside? Will that hold it? So if I like kind of tuck it and pinch the tin foil around it? Now the little shuttle on the website I just showed you even had a little American flag, so you could decorate your shuttles if you want. But I mean, there we go. Let me try to flip my camera one last time and we'll just watch this thing fall in the air, because why not? All right, here I am in my office. Here is my little Apollo 13 shuttle. And again, you're just going to have time trials to see whose shuttle is it has the slowest, softest landing. And you'll start out someplace high and just probably have to pinch it up top. Okay, that fell pretty fast. So you're going to want probably the tallest you can get in your classroom. Be safe when you're dropping your Apollo 13 shuttles. I hope you have fun with the engineering design process this week while we're celebrating Black History Month all month long. And we'll see you for next week's Makerspace activity. Bye.